And we are back.
Hello again. It's us, the horror guys.
I'm Brian.
I'm Kevin.
And as usual, we've got 4 horror films and a short film for you.
And we're going to talk about them.
We are, yes. Got some good ones. We got some bad ones.
I think we're leaning more toward the bad this week. Heavily.
This was not our best week, I don't think. Our best choices.
It wasn't our favorites.
But our loss is your gain, so you don't have to watch these turkeys.
And we can tell you about them and save you all that time.
All right, this time we have The Amusement Park. George Romero, the zombie guy, made this way back in 1975.
And we've been hearing a lot about it this year, and so
Gotten
we
a lot of
finally
publicity.
decided to watch it.
Yeah, a lot of people have talked about this. It's Romero's lost film. And the problem was it was maybe lost for a reason.
And they found it.
The Strange Color of Your Body's Tears from 2013. And it has got some strange colors.
Yeah, it does. Lots of colors.
We've got Red Christmas from 2017 and Better Watch Out from 2016.
Because it is the Christmas season now.
Right. We
And
got the Amusement Park and Amusement
We're
Park.
watching some of the many, many Christmas horror movies that are out there. It's amazing how many there are.
All of December, Christmas month. Nothing but the Christmas horrors.
Well, not nothing but heavily. Yeah, we're going to cover some.
We're going to try.
Yeah. And you know what? We won't get through them all. There are so many
there's
out there.
Hundreds.
Man, I couldn't believe that.
When I was looking it up, there's like 4 different Ginger Dead Man, 4 different Jack Frost movies. I don't know how many Silent Night, Deadly Nights.
And then there's other movies that are...
Just one-offs, yeah.
Yeah, or that, just happen to take place at Christmas time and aren't, strictly a Christmas horror.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like you can call Die Hard a Christmas movie. Because it's
It's
at a Christmas party.
There.
Yeah, but you know the difference. I mean, where it's about Christmas versus happens during Christmas. There's a difference.
The monster was in their hearts all along.
So anyway.
Okay, so first of all, news item. Remember, we have all our reviews from the entire month in either ebook or paperback every month. So don't forget, first week of each month, we publish all the reviews from the podcast, plus the bonus content from our email newsletter in the Horror Bulletin print magazine, which is also available as an ebook. Get it on Amazon, Kobo, Barnes & Noble, or any place the books are sold as an ebook or as a paperback through Amazon. If you don't have time to read our website every single day, and who does other than us, or you want to get the bonus stuff without the email, pick up the print book or the ebook once a month. So, for example, next weekend, we'll come up with every review that went in November, including the ones you're going to hear today. All right. Are you ready for some horror movies?
I'm ready.
What do we got first?
We got The Amusement Park.
Ooh, that sounds like fun.
We previously mentioned was directed by George Romero, written by Walton Cook, stars Lincoln Mazel, Harry Albacher, and Phyllis Casterweiler. Runtime is only 53 minutes.
It's short.
It's kind of short, and there's a trailer on YouTube, so you can check that out.
So everybody says this was really good and really scary.
Well,
Before we get into it, what do you think? Was it scary?
I don't think it was terribly scary. No.
Depends on where you're coming from.
Unsettling.
Okay.
Because, theoretically, most of us are going there where, and yeah, scary. Yeah.
If you were going to do a spoiler-free judgment, what would you say?
I would read Brian's commentary that he wrote. Intended to be a public service announcement about elder abuse. So it wasn't really a horror movie intentionally.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah. George Romero got a little carried away, though. It makes the point in the first 5 minutes and then beats it to death for the next 42.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
And that's pretty much it, yeah.
Yeah, this was intended to be, about elder abuse and the plight of the elderly, a public service
they're
announcement.
Poor, they're unhealthy. A lot of times, struggling with all the struggles that the elder have, transportation, you lose your sight, you can't drive anymore, you can't get around, all these things.
But then they gave the job to the guy who made Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
And he got a little carried away.
So, Lincoln Mazel starts out, and he's talking to us, walking through town, discusses the problems with the worlds. He complains about old age and the unfairness of it all, and he lists many of the difficulties that older people face, introduces the film, which highlights many of these problems, and he warns, remember, as you watch the film, one day you too will be old.
You would say, if you're lucky. According to this film, maybe that's
he
not
makes
so
it,
lucky.
He makes it seem not so lucky, yeah. Well, an old man dressed in dirty white clothes sits on a bench in a white room covered in scrapes, cuts, and bruises. He's had a rough day. Another younger, healthier man walks in and wants to talk to him. They're actually both the same guy.
One is way younger looking and healthier looking and
Spry.
cleaner. And,
he walks in all spry and clean and happy, and the other guy's like, go away. Yeah. And the spry guy says, well, don't you want to come outside? It's nice outside. And the older guy's like, no.
There's nothing for me out there.
Well, the younger guy goes through the door, and it's into an amusement park. And he notices it's old people visiting day, apparently. The crowd is heavily older people, not entirely. The man gets in a line where old people are selling their antiques and possessions for peanuts.
One guy's selling his old watch, and another person selling the family heirlooms.
To get admission into the park.
Because, old people don't make enough money. They got to sell off everything they own to survive.
Which is a real thing, yeah.
Just a little metaphor there. Subtle.
He gets on the roller coaster, which has age, income, health, and other requirements. Like, you must be this young to ride the roller coaster. And
so
things
many
like
things
that.
you can't do when you're old.
And
a
then,
subtle metaphor.
Not at all subtle, no. Yeah. And the next attraction, the bumper cars, has an eye chart you have to pass, and it's a driver's test. And the man watches another old guy being told he can't drive. Anyone over 65 years old should be made to ride the bus, shouts one guy who hit the bumper cars game. Hits as
the old man
as
failed
he hits
the other old man failed his driver's test, so his wife has to drive. But you know how old women drivers are.
Yeah,
so she hits
a
somebody
younger
in
person.
bumper cars and they get mad.
Yeah, and he tries to be friendly with some little kids, gets accused of being a degenerate. He starts seeing the Grim Reaper on some of the rides.
That didn't really go anywhere.
No, well, just kind of hints of, death is watching or lurking nearby.
Death is always around you.
Yeah.
Subtle.
One attraction is marked Senior Citizens Encouraged, and inside it's basically a nursing home. He watches a pony ride labeled Affordable Public Transportation, and he sees the couple that was in the traffic accident now required to take public transportation because they can't afford insurance. He watches a young couple getting their fortunes told. They see themselves old and living in a slum without health care. The husband is dying. She can't get a doctor or even afford to make a phone call. The young man then punches our man out because he's angry at seeing the future. Like, he didn't predict it, but, he gets the blame.
Bystander.
Yeah. Well, with each attack and trouble, the man gets more and more disoriented and confused. He gets beat up by a gang of bikers. They sit on the ground, and he sits on the ground, and no one will help him. And then he has to deal with the healthcare system. Before long, he's cuts and bruises. He's covered in cuts and bruises, and he becomes the man we saw in the beginning. And it's this endless cycle that he is trapped in at this hellish amusement park.
Yeah.
Well, the commentary, here's directly from IMDb, which sums up. An organization called the Lutheran Society hired George Romero to create a movie about elder abuse and the importance of showing respect to older people. And I guess they just gave him carte blanche, and he took it.
We'll watch it when you're done.
Well, when he presented it to the society, it was so surreal and frightening to them that they were just horrified, and they said, thank you, yeah, we'll shelf that. And it's been sitting there since 1975. And somebody just, unshelved it, put it together, and it's out there now. Well, apparently not much has changed in 45 years other than film quality has improved. There's no real plot or dialogue. It's just kind of this guy moving from one scenario to another and always getting the short end of the stick because of his age and keep getting worse and worse and more beat up and worn down. And it's grainy and low budget. Well, it's 1975 and Romero's first film.
Cheap
one of his first
too.
films.
It was just a public service thing. It wasn't meant to be theatrically released.
Yeah. Well, it's billed as the scariest movie of all time now, which I guess it shows it's probably scariest because it's real. But on the other hand, it's no fun to watch. And the circus music is kind of annoying. After the first 10 minutes, it's kind of predictable because it's just one thing after another. And you kind of get the point.
That subtle metaphor comes back 13 times or so.
Yeah, over and over. Yeah,
we get the point.
So it's kind of draggy. So yeah, it is an important message, but on the other hand, it's marketed as a horror film. It's not really so much. And yeah, I mean, it was okay, but yeah.
If you want to get in good with your grandparents, show them this film and say, "Look, I understand it now," and they'll be like, okay, Sonny, okay,
yep, told you so, told you so. Yeah.
All right. And that takes us to The Strange Color of Your Body's Tears from
Wouldn't that
2013.
be watercolor?
No.
Watercolored?
Not watercolor.
They're not watercolored?
They're not watercolor.
Okay, these are not those kind of tears.
Written and directed by Helene Catet and Bruno Frazzani. Stars Klaus Tenge, Ursula Bedena, and Joe Koner. Hour and 42 minutes. And let me tell you, you'll feel every minute of it.
Well, this is
like an 8-hour torture session.
This is one of those movies, and sometimes it works, but so often it doesn't. Oh, outstanding visuals where you'll see them, you'll see a commercial for it and quotes of selected quotes from people who said, "Oh, outstanding visuals, amazing, a visual masterpiece."
Tell you what, the trailer is in the show notes. Absolutely, definitely go watch that trailer.
The visuals are amazing.
It looks great.
But then you watch it and keep watching it, and it keeps going. And
if you were going to spoil it for spoiler-free judgment, what would you say?
That it's beautiful to look at, but it's like after a while, it's like somebody screaming at your eyes. There's not really much of a story. There is kind of a story, but it's very hard to follow. And I started tuning it out about halfway through.
I lost the story about exactly.
Yeah,
it's visually outstanding with every single shot being bright, dark, colorful, surreal, or otherwise visually stunning.
But there's so much of it going on for so long without enough story to anchor you down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is, to say the least, a visual work of art. The gore shots and weird body horror images are well done, but the complete lack of a coherent story makes it hard to sit through to the end. It's beautiful, but even that gets old after an hour of meandering, incoherent, pretentious pointlessness.
Oof.
Yeah.
You really harshed it.
Okay, well, Dan Christensen disembarks from his airplane. We see various black and white scenes of bondage and knife play as the credits roll. They weren't doing that on the airplane. What's that about? He arrives home to find his wife, Edwidge. What country was this? This was
Edwidge.
France, wasn't it? I think it was
I believe
French.
it was, yes.
Edwidge isn't there. He gets drunk and goes looking for her, getting locked out of his apartment. Someone lets him in and tells him to come to the 7th floor. There's a strange woman up there who is shrouded in darkness. She says that her husband Paul recently disappeared. We get a flashback to her and her husband having sex and hearing strange noises. Paul then drills a hole into the roof, and disappears up there one night.
Yeah, you go up into the ceiling.
It's like a drill, maybe about a half an inch wide hole, and somehow he disappears up that hole. She tells Dan the whole story and then orders him to leave. Dan then goes up to the roof, where he finds a naked woman standing on the ledge smoking. Her name is Barbara. Dan wakes up. A detective comes to see him in the morning. He tells Dan a story about a case he was on. A woman puts on blue earrings, and her husband takes photos of her being undressed by some other man. He follows her obsessively, and things get carried away. Okay, so far, it sounds reasonably story-like.
You make it sound so sensible.
I have just cut out, like 50 minutes of fluffy pictures.
Visuals.
Dan thinks someone is in the apartment with him, but he can't find them. The landlord comes by and tells Dan that he's on thin ice. He finds an audio tape and a drawing with the number 7 on it. This leads him to apartment 7 in the building, where he has a number of colorful and painful experiences. Before long, he's running around the apartment, naked, hiding from himself. From there, it starts getting weird. And I will stop my summary there because honestly, I have no idea what happened after that.
How do you summarize it past that?
Okay, well, I kind of started tuning out after the black and white slideshow woman was attacked by an animated man that crawled out of her hat box and forced a pill down her throat.
And he's not exaggerating.
The slideshow woman...
It's that surreal and nonsensical.
Yeah. It's quite often hard to follow, and it's not a language and subtitle issue, although that doesn't help. The film is meant to be surreal and plain old weird, but about an hour in, I started comparing it in my mind to Eraserhead, of all things. Another film full of shot after shot of surreal, yet pointless, nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you mentioned David Lynch before I did. But yeah, there's some of that in there.
There was some reminiscence of that, yeah.
It was weird. If you really like the visual side of things, definitely worth taking a look at. If you're looking for a story, stay far, far away. Wow. It felt so long.
It did, yeah.
And then we have a short film.
Which I think I have to give my biggest thumbs up for the week. Of all the
This was
of
their
the five.
best?
Yeah, I think so, in my opinion.
Jolly from 2020. Directed by Todd Spence, written by Zach White and Todd Spence, stars Zach White and Todd Spence, 4 whole minutes long, and you can watch this on YouTube. There's a link in the notes. So you like this best, huh?
I think so.
I think it's the best Christmas short I've seen in a good while. Well, a man is asleep on the couch. He hears a voice and wakes up. It's a little talking Santa Claus toy. It says, "I wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year." And he groans. Then the head starts getting creepy.
It does.
Okay, not going to spoil it. When the toys start talking about unwrapping your skull, it's time to pay attention. This is really good. It's very short, well filmed, gets straight to the point, and is super weird. And it's even got a little bit of action.
A little bit, yeah.
All right.
Worth watching for sure.
Definitely thumbs up. But you better watch out. You better be nice.
But
well, never mind the being nice part.
Just better watch out.
Better watch
That's
out
the name of
is
this
our
movie.
next film.
It's a Christmas movie.
It is. Yes, we have hit December 1st into our Christmas season. Directed by Chris Peckover, written by Zach Kahn and Chris Peckover, stars Olivia DeJonge, Levi Miller, and Ed Oxenbould. Hour and 25 minutes. Trailer in the show notes. And spoiler free, it's a home invasion story with some twists and surprises. The 12-year-old star is way too smart and is hard to believe. But if you can get past that, it's pretty entertaining simply because it doesn't go where you'd expect.
And now for the spoilers.
What'd you think?
It was pretty good.
It's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know you often have trouble getting over, the 25-year-olds playing teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
I have trouble with 12-year-olds that know all about drugs, booze, murder, and everything else.
He was awfully precocious.
He was awfully smart for a 12-year-old.
There's adults that aren't that savvy.
Yeah. Okay, so Luke has a crush on his babysitter, Ashley. His parents are weird. Ashley is moving to Pittsburgh in a few days. Luke's friend Garrett is in the bathroom stealing medications. So, 12-year-old drug thief. All right.
Nice.
Ashley, we find out, is terrified of spiders, but Luke catches it and releases it outside. He's such a sweet little boy, he wouldn't even hurt a spider.
Yeah, and he loves Ashley.
The parents leave, and Ashley and Luke turn on a horror movie, which is expressly against the rules. The pizza delivery guy arrives, but they didn't order anything. Still, they take the pizza. Ashley gets freaked out by the horror movie, and then gets a phone call with no one talking. The doors in the house won't stay shut. Garrett shows up again, but there's a window breaking upstairs. They find a brick with a message on it. "You leave, you die." The phones all suddenly stop working. and Ashley's car tires have been slashed. Garrett runs off, but it looks like something got him outside. There's the usual stuff with home intruders, hiding and chasing. Luke finds his parents' gun. But, okay, if you don't want spoilers, you might want to stop there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because here it's
everything
not,
I've just
here
said
it's
you
not
can
what
see
you
in the
think.
trailer.
Here it's not what you think is going to happen.
Yeah, the home invasion turns out to be fake. It's Garrett roaming around the house with a mask and a shotgun. Yeah, these kids are weird. Ashley says she's calling his parents, so Luke knocks her down the stairs instead. Ashley wakes up duct taped to a chair. He tells Ashley that if she screams, he's going to shoot her. He pulls out some mystery vial of drugs and makes her drink it. Ashley's boyfriend Ricky comes to the door. He pushes his way in and searches the house for her. Luke whacks him with a baseball bat twice. They mop up the blood and the evidence. Ricky then ties up in a chair next to Ashley. Turns out, Luke texted Ricky and invited him over. He wanted him there. He also calls Jeremy, her old boyfriend, and invites him over as well. Luke then reenacts the paint can scene from Home Alone with Ricky.
Ouch.
It's a little messier in this one.
As if, imagine Home Alone with gore.
Ashley gets out and runs to find some Christmas carolers, but Luke hits her first with a brick. Luke keeps saying he has a plan to get away with all this, but he hasn't even tried to clean up the paint that's splattered everywhere. Ex-boyfriend Jeremy shows up and trips over something suspiciously pointy located beneath a window in the backyard. We get this very gratuitous shot of this pointy thing sticking up below the second floor window.
I thought that was going to be Chekhov's pointy thing.
And it doesn't go anywhere.
It wasn't used.
It's nothing. Luke intercepts Jeremy and has him write an apology note to Ashley. Then he hangs Jeremy from a tree, and he's arranged the whole thing to look like Jeremy went crazy and did all this and then committed suicide.
Aha, that's how he's going to get away with it.
Ashley talks Garrett into releasing her, but instead, Luke shoots his best friend. Ashley refuses to talk to Luke anymore, so he stabs her. He then goes around the house and puts Jeremy's fingerprints on everything, and otherwise cleaning up anything that would indicate he was involved. The parents come home, and the screaming starts. Soon the police arrive. There's a shout from downstairs. "This one's alive!" It's Ashley who gives Luke the finger as she loaded into the ambulance. A little later on, Luke asks his mother, "We should go visit Ashley in the hospital."
I'm worried about Ashley. Can we go visit her?
Yeah, well, the trailer absolutely will have you expecting a more violent version of Home Alone. The beginning had me thinking it was going to be a ripoff of the Babysitter film from 2017. Although this came after that, didn't it?
I think it did, yeah.
Yeah, this was 2016. So this that came later.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think people who wrote this film ever met a real 12-year-old. Drugs, guns, drinking, and of course kidnapping aren't something that suburban 12-year-olds should know much about. If Luke and Garrett had been 17, this would have made a lot more sense. But then it would have been a lot creepier to have a babysitter at that age.
And made less sense.
Levi Miller does well playing a little psychopath, but I couldn't get past just how knowledgeable he was about everything at his age, and he had such a good plan for getting away with it all. If you can manage to get past the ridiculous impossibility of it all, it's fun to watch to see if he'll get away with it. Kind of like Home Alone, I guess. That whole thing is impossibly ridiculous, but it is fun to watch.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will give this one a thumbs up.
I would too.
But it does take some suspension of disbelief.
My second favorite of the week.
Okay. And next up, we have Red Christmas from 2017, home of the worst pun of all the holiday season, which we'll get to a little later on. Written and directed by Craig Anderson, stars Dee Wallace, the lady from The Howling, Jeff Morrell, David Collins, Sarah Bishop, and Sam Campbell, hour 22 minutes. Go watch the trailer. All right, to non-spoiler, well, Cletus the fetus
Wow.
was aborted 20 years ago. Now he wants revenge on the family that thought he was dead. He stalks them down one by one and proves that he's still smarter than these idiots.
Oh, and aren't they, though?
Yeah, and that's nothing you can't get off right off the movie poster and the trailer. So, Cletus the fetus.
Cletus the fetus.
You know, if you're going to have a story that starts out with a bad abortion, of course you're going to name the character rhyming something that rhymes with fetus, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, we start out with news footage related to abortion protesters. As this continues, we see a man carrying a suitcase into a clinic. There's an explosion. As the confusion continues, a man pulls a living fetus out of the trash bucket and walks off. Credits roll. 20 years later, Diane makes breakfast for her huge family of adopted kids who are all coming home for Christmas.
Well, it's not that huge, but
It seemed like
enough,
it in the beginning.
Enough to have a good smattering of victims.
Yeah. Well, there's the kid with Down syndrome, the religious couple, the sex fiend artists, and Joe, Diane's pothead brother. Diane is selling her house, and she gives Susie a big check. So yeah, she's her natural kid is
The one with Down syndrome.
the one with Down syndrome, whose name I think it's Jeff. We'll get to him later.
Mm-hmm.
But all the other kids have been adopted. A man in the woods sees a strange figure in a black robe approaching. The robed man says his name is Cletus, and he's looking for his mother. The man punches Cletus and then pees on him, but Cletus makes him pay.
Oh, does he ever?
Yeah, I mean, Cletus isn't quite all there. You can tell that by the way he talks. There's something not quite right with him. And of course, he's wearing that black cloak, so...
And he's completely covered, too. The rest of him is wrapped in cloth.
Oh, yeah,
Even what's
you
not
got the
covered up
Invisible
with the
Man
robe.
thing going on there, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Ginny gets angry that Diana's selling the house. She's selling their family home. The doorbell rings, and it's Cletus. He hands her an envelope marked Mother. She invites him inside, still dressed like the Grim Reaper. It's a very awkward Christmas party. He explains that the cloak keeps my skin on. What?
Yeah.
He's got
and
leprosy
they
or
all
something.
go, what?
But it's Christmas. It's time to take people in.
That's right. Generosity and all that.
They give him a gift, a jar of peanuts. Turns out they can't have peanuts in the house anyway, since Hope is allergic. Why would you have peanuts in the house?
Well, they were a special gift for other people.
And there's no chance he would open those up and eat them right there, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Cletus reads his letter. Cletus's father has recently died, and he was the abortion bomber from 20 years ago. Cletus says he is Diane's aborted fetus who didn't die. Diane freaks out and tells him to leave. Joe literally throws him out the door and onto the sidewalk. Susie puts two and two together and comes to the conclusion that Cletus was Diane's claimed miscarriage from 20 years ago. Cletus limps through the woods yelling, "Mama!" and getting very, very angry.
You know, one thing that I have pondered, though, on this movie, when he gets the peanuts, he opens them up, and it almost seems like he's simple-minded, and yet he's not, too. I couldn't quite tell how mentally capable he was.
It's called poor writing.
Well, but he opens the peanuts and he said, "Oh, it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. I love this gift, and you're so precious for giving it to me." And is
You're
he being
supposed
sincere?
to open it.
Yeah, but is he being sincere, or is he like, "You got to be effing kidding me! After 20 years, and you tried to kill me, and this is what you give me"?
No, I think he was sincere. He'd never been given a gift before. He walks in, he tells him he's the
His father probably did. No,
maybe not.
Been raising him for 20 years, yeah, maybe not.
It doesn't look to me like Cletus has had good
I couldn't
lifestyle.
tell if he was toying with him with that or if he really meant.
I think he really
was
meant
really
it.
touched.
They had not done anything bad to him yet. Why wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Why he gave him the benefit of the doubt?
Okay.
His mother will love him like she should.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
okay.
that doesn't happen.
But Cletus, I mean, as you said, he talks. Well, we find out later he's got Down syndrome too.
Well, and other physical problems.
And he limps and he walks funny. He walks
and yet
slowly.
he is superhuman strong.
Oh yeah. Later on, he's like flying through the air just about.
He's got incredible strength.
Well, the family then has their Christmas party. Hope goes outside to smoke and finds the jar of peanuts out there. Cletus then cuts her in half with an axe. I mean, top of the head, right down the middle. The two sides go different directions. The rest of the family soon finds her pieces, along with a jar of peanuts, so they know who did it. Joe calls the police, and then the power goes off. These things always happen in the dark.
Mm-hmm. And they're kind of isolated, too.
The women all go and hide upstairs while the men search outside. Scott soon gets the axe. They all run outside and then lock themselves in the shed, which is perfectly safe. The shed has no windows. The shed has a big, strong lock on it. Nothing can get to them there.
There are repeated incidents of this in this movie.
Yeah.
They get into a situation where they are all together, they're all barricaded.
They were safe upstairs in the bedroom.
Well, and at this point, the police have been called and are on the way.
Yeah.
That doesn't work out later, but at this point, just stay barricaded. No, let's go out and, do something.
They all
or send one person out.
They all decide that someone needs to go back in the house to get the car keys. Joe goes back, he has his gun with him. He gets the keys, gets to the car, and finds Cletus in the back seat, who kills him. Ginny's baby is coming, and that ratchets up the tension and the screaming. Diane admits that the baby was going to have Down syndrome, so she aborted it. Diane then finds a necklace she lost at the time, which was left there by Cletus. This is proof that, yep, he's hers.
Mm-hmm.
She admits Cletus really is her lost son. They then spot Cletus climbing up the lattice outside the window, so Diane decides to go outside by herself and pull down the lattice. One by one, they all go outside alone.
Mm-hmm.
The sheriff arrives, and he barely makes it out of his car before he dies. Cletus confronts Diane, and they talk. She probably could defuse the situation, but Peter then shoots Cletus, driving him off again. Diane spots the sheriff's gun on the ground and points it at Cletus. She empties it on him, but he still doesn't die.
And not that I'm going to nitpick or anything, but I'm going to. Peter is standing by the house. Diane and Cletus are a ways off. It's a shotgun.
You're not going to miss.
You're not going to, but you're not going to hit, you're not just going to hit Cletus.
Would have hit her too,
yes. Anyway.
Well, okay. Peter is a priest, and he convinces Cletus to pray on his knees with him. Meanwhile, Jerry gets the shotgun, and Peter reaches for a knife. Peter stabs Cletus, but Cletus finds a way to kill him anyway.
Graphically.
Jerry.
And I have to say at this point, the gore and the special effects were top notch in this.
Oh, yeah. It was, other than just the stupidity of these people, and of course, Cletus the
dumb
fetus.
Choices.
Dumb choices.
Dumb choices.
It's really well done.
Yeah.
Jerry then freaks out at hearing Diana wanted to abort a baby with Down syndrome like he has. He then goes downstairs and faces Cletus, giving him his Santa Claus hat. This lack of hat confuses Diane, who shoots Jerry.
Oops.
You can only tell your kids apart because of the Santa Claus hat.
Well, it was dark and shadowy, and she
one's
was
dressed
jumpy.
like Death, and the other one's dressed like
She was
Santa
jumpy
Claus.
and trigger happy.
Yeah.
He comes around the corner, and whoops. Yeah.
Upstairs, Susie and Ginny continue to scream incessantly as the delivery proceeds. Remember, she was pregnant. Oh yeah, we forgot about that part.
Yep.
Diane runs out and sees Cletus with his bandages off. He's Jason Voorhees level special looking. They talk some more, and fight some more, and then talk some more, and she passes out for some reason. Cletus grabs a knife and goes upstairs for Ginny and the baby. Ginny hides in a really obvious place, and he soon kills her as well. Diane comes in, but I didn't quite catch how this last part works. Diane comes in with a boat anchor, kills Cletus and herself as well. No one is left alive but the baby. And, of course, since this all takes place in Australia, it'll probably soon be eaten by dingoes in the morning. The end.
Yeah, it wasn't a wintry Christmas movie.
Yeah, other than the fact
Christmas
that the family was all
Australia
reuniting for a holiday, this Christmas has got nothing to do with it.
Set against the backdrop of Christmas.
Yeah. Cletus the fetus?
Yep.
Really?
Seriously?
They thought that was okay. For someone who can barely walk, Cletus is agile enough to climb walls, run upstairs, and sneak up on just about anyone. Plus, he seems to have inhuman strength and toughness.
Mm-hmm.
How many times did he get shot?
A lot.
I imagine...
And stabbed and bashed.
I imagine the director had some kind of message going on here. anti-abortion or maybe pro-abortion. I'm not quite sure, as the story kind of works both ways. All right. Well, these people all deserve to die anyway. Nobody should be this stupid. They were safe together in the bedroom or the shed several times, but always found some stupid reason to split up or go back outside. Now, this is a common trope in horror films. They always do it.
But here...
It's gratuitous here. It's just so... They were so safe.
It only worked, it only worked because they were dumb.
Yeah. Lock themselves in the shed, wait for the sheriff, and boom. All taken care of.
Yeah.
Or if the sheriff got killed outside, just stay in the damn shed anyway.
They'd send more cops eventually. They'd notice the sheriff was missing. Yeah.
They'd already called the police, and they would have arrived eventually if they had simply waited. On the other hand, the deaths are pretty good, especially the death by blender scene.
And death by umbrella.
And umbrella, too. I'm not quite sure what happened in the end with Diane, Cletus, and the boat anchor. That was kind of poorly filmed. It didn't quite make sense to me.
Yeah, it was a choppy edit.
Yeah.
I think, well, she impaled him with the anchor. She had the chain around her neck. She leapt out the window, and that hung her, and it also dragged Cletus out and killed him.
I have no idea how the mechanics of that worked.
But it was very choppily edited. Yeah.
But anyway, if you can look past the character's ongoing stupidity, it's just kind of dumb. Let's leave it at that.
Kind of, yeah.
All right. And that is our show for this week. Stop in at the website, horrorguys.com. Check out our books at horrorguys.com/books. And tune in next week when we will watch
4 more movies.
4 more Christmas-based holiday horror movies.
We need a little Christmas.
Right this very minute.
That's right.
Or maybe all month. Well, I'm Brian.
And I'm Kevin.
And we'll see you next week.
See ya.